And on a slightly windy day in September, here we are at Doncaster. And it's a lovely 1930s frontage. And I think I really like what they've done to the whole arrival area here. Love the piece of artwork over there, which reflects all the locomotives that have come out of Doncaster Works over the years. What we're doing today? Well, there's a pair of Class 185s winging their way from Liverpool Lime Street right now. We're going to hop on it and we're going to go to the seaside. Let's enjoy riding on the 185s as we go along the southern edge of the Humber estuary to Cleethorpes. I'll see you on the train. Well, there's a bit of time before my train arrives, and so we can have a look around the station and maybe do a bit of train spotting. The concourse features a staff ticket office and also a lovely clock and complimentary lighting. Now, the space is a little marred by the lift heads, but I do think step-free access trumps my aesthetic pleasures. The underpass is both wide and bright, and there's two fellas here busy adding more white paint. Doncaster is great for train spotters as there's lots of train operating companies that use the station, and here's two now. Ooh, and a 225 as well. Doncaster is also in the select band of stations with a platform 0. It's a long walk to it, but it does mean that terminating trains from places like Hull and Scunthorpe do not now have to cross the other tracks. And of course, over the way, the old Doncaster work site still has a few things knocking around. These platforms and canopies do predate the concourse building. I think maybe they're as old as 1850. Though it is a shame that the other platforms have such ugly canopies. Anyway, the train's due now, so let's have a look at the route. We'll leave Doncaster heading northeast, sharing the line to Hull, before we turn off east at Thorn Junction. We'll then cross the Lincolnshire flatlands until our first stop at the steel town of Scunthorpe. Out of Scunthorpe there's going to be more flat farmland as we converge at Barnetby with the lines from Gainsborough and Lincoln. After a stop at Hayborough, which is close to the petrochemical port of Immingham, we will slide into Grimsby town. Then there's a short dogleg through the docks before we arrive at the Victorian seaside resort of Cleethorpes. The journey today is 84 kilometres or 52 miles, and it will take 1 hour and 16 minutes. Now, considering the lack of gradients and the straight track in many places, I might have hoped for a quicker pace. Oh well, I do like the Class 185s anyway. And here comes two of them, looking great in the TPE Mondrian livery. Now, I know they don't look much from the outside, but let's go inside and see how nice they are, especially for a regional train. The first class looks really lovely in its white faux leather finish, although I'm travelling in standard today, but this is a nice first class product. Once past the unused first class servery, we find the standard class. As expected, it's in a 2+2 configuration, but again, the seats are much better than the Fainsa Sophia seats that you will find on most Hitachi trains in the UK. You'd have to be pretty tall to complain about the legroom, and these wood effect tables have a quality feel, reflected also in the wood panelling at the carriage ends. Oh, that's enough of that, we're pulling away. Just north of the station, we cross over the Sheffield and South Yorkshire navigation, before then parting ways with the East Coast Main Line. And I'll make use of the USB power to charge up the GoPro I'm not using. Our route means we have to recross the Don and the navigation, heading in an almost straight line for Thorn Junction. Thorn Junction sits in the shadow of the M18, and we leave the line for Hull there and swing eastbound for the south of the Humber. As South Yorkshire becomes North Lincolnshire, it becomes more about wind and water. The flat landscape is ideal for wind turbines, and now all around us are the dikes and drains that were dug around 400 years ago by Dutch engineers who were brought over to drain the land. Indeed, in a nod to the past from when this was all marshland, the locality around Crowle is known as the Isle of Axholme. As you can see, the track now runs just above the North Soak drain on this side, and on the other side you would also find the canal and the South Soak drain. At Keadby Power Station we cross the canal and its drains, and some more man-made drains too. Then at Althorpe we cross the Keadby Bridge over the River Trent. The bridge is a bascule bridge that used to lift using electric motors and counterbalance. This enabled shipping to pass through. However, the bridge has not lifted since 1956. And on entering Scunthorpe there's a Drax biomass train stabled to the south of the station. And whilst we pause at Scunthorpe, it's worth considering just how vast the steelworks is compared to the town as a whole, and how it is crisscrossed by railway lines. Right, I'll go to the other side of the train now to see what we can see of this huge steelworks. Of course, the steelworks is much smaller than it was in its heyday. Since 2020, it's been owned by a Chinese investment company. Also, it's only a glimpse, but I thought I'd leave it in, as we've crossed Ermine Street, the great Roman highway that ran from London to York. Elsham Station and Signal Box, both disused, lead us on to Rawby Junction, where the three lines from Scunthorpe, Gainsborough and Lincoln all meet. The Grade 2 listed 132 lever signal box is still standing. As I'm in the rear coach, it fails to make the short platform at Barnetby. The station building at Barnetby is now Network Rail offices, and it looks to be a pretty solid building. Next up, we will have to negotiate the triangle at Brocklesby, where trains can go north for branches to Immingham Docks and Barton-on-Humber. And there's still a lot of the old station and signal box here at the East Junction.
Carriages will be opening at this station, arriving at Hayborough Station.
And then the Barton line rejoins us at Hayborough Junction. Not only do we not fit onto the Hayborough platforms, but our rear coach is also blocking the level crossing too. So you have to be patient if you're driving in Hayborough. Mind you, having direct trains from here to Sheffield, Manchester and Liverpool ain't all that bad either, is it? One thing I'm noticing is that this flat landscape certainly leads to so many level crossings. Now, the intermediate stations along the line to Grimsby are all served by the stopping trains to Barton-on-Humber, which pass this way on a 2-hourly schedule. In the very distance are the towers of the South Humber Bank Power Station at Immingham, and also one or two other waterside factories. At Marsh Junction, the freight lines for the old Grimsby docks and the Immingham Loop turn off left. But we will continue on for Grimsby Town Station. You know, I wonder how many towns and cities share their main station name with the football team.
Now arriving at Grimsby Town Station.
Grimsby Town looks a lovely station with its all-over train shed. Now it's time for a little dogleg around Grimsby Docks, and I'm looking out for something special along here. No, not the old dock offices, although they do look charmingly solid. And there it is, sticking up behind the buildings. It's Grimsby Dock Tower. The tower was built to create high water pressure to run dock gates and cranes. Sadly, by the time it was commissioned in 1852, ground-level based hydraulic accumulators had been designed which would effectively make the use of a tower obsolete. Even so, it stayed in use until 1892 and is now a Grade 1 listed building. Anyway, after all that chat about water towers, we've now arrived into Cleethorpes station, and we're spot on time at 11:53. You know, it'll soon be time to go and get some seaside chips for lunch. Cleethorpes has wide and long platforms perfectly designed for all the holiday traffic that would have been coming here for many years. And for me, that was another smooth and comfortable ride inside a Class 185 Desiro. Between you and me, I do harbour a hope that one day these trains will be cascaded onto the Waterloo to Exeter line to replace the Class 159s. I think they'd be ideal. And as the sign says, Cleethorpes has been welcoming visitors since 1863. But for me, I will be departing again in a couple of hours and we'll take a close look at Cleethorpes in the next video. If you like trains and beer, then Cleethorpes is an excellent destination for you. Meanwhile, it's a really short walk from the station to the promenade and the beach. And it's looking great on this cool September day. You can pretty much be building a sandcastle and still be train spotting. And here we are in Cleethorpes. And yeah, it's not very often, I think, that the seaside place has a railway station so close to the seafront. How excited must have children been when they pulled up at the railway station there on their holidays and stepped out with their parents carrying the suitcases and found that they were pretty much on the beach already. I've been sat in a train with you all morning, so I'm just going for a little walk along the seafront here. I hope you enjoyed that little ride from Doncaster through the industrial heartlands of Scunthorpe and Immingham and out through Grimsby and its docks, and with its huge dock tower, of course, and then here to the seaside at Cleethorpes. And if you have, then do give it a like, and especially do subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I shall be back doing something very similar very soon, so check out the channel for that. But in the meantime, I shall see you later. Thank you so much for watching. And as Johnny says, we'll be back here soon to continue the journey on a route with only one service per day.